making sure no one's thirsty this evening. Lightbox, who are lining our bellies full of Domino's pizza. Black Room Photography, who's Megan, who's floating about here today. Interlight NZ, who are all about sharing the good vibes from real life, such as this, across social. Interlight NZ, who are responsible for all of our social media. And Vivo Wines, Bloggers Club, Socialites NZ, and Go Plus Alpha. Now I'd like to ask everybody a quick favour tonight. Can everyone take out their phone, pick 1, 2, maybe even 3 sponsors, and send your thanks to them via Twitter. Let's consider it a social media round of applause. It's much more practical anyway because you've probably got pizza or a drink in the other hand. Everyone's done? We finished? Done? Can we keep going? Great. We have some amazing prizes here available tonight. Lightbox are giving away 4 6-month subscriptions, 2 on Facebook and 2 on Twitter. All you need to do is let us know what your favourite Lightbox program is. Now, Crystal's amazing new line of bossy boots, come on up, Crystal. Bossy boots are about to launch, and we have a pair of those to give away this evening. All you need to do is tweet to Smackle, which and they're giving that to the best tweet. So everyone, get your thumbs moving. Who here is guilty of a bit of binge watching? Nice. Well, I feel honoured that you've all made it out here tonight and aren't sitting in front of your TV screens. It's safe to say that the landscape has really changed. And last Smackle, I asked a few of our Smacklers about their social media viewing habits. Let's find out what they say. As soon as we hear some sound.
Put the sound up on the computer, please.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry.
Don't hate it. Trying to be smooth. It's not working for me tonight.
check it out on things like IMDb to check the rating.
It'll be a tweet, or it'll be a like on Facebook, either one of those two. I asked friends, I sort of Google search what's popular at the time. Generally on Facebook, to be honest, there's usually movies on TV, it pops up on Facebook and everyone's like, you've got to watch this, so friends.
I guess smacklers really like their entertainment. And it really has changed. Where once the providers dictated exactly what we watched and when we watched it. Who remembers the Goodnight Kiwi? Yeah? Now, all of the power was with the consumers. Services like Lightbox, Netflix, Sky TV On Demand, My Sky, Neon, and all of those illegal sites that no one really admits to using, have meant we have choice and really expanded that ecosystem. A study in 2015 found that 79.9% of respondents own a tablet and or a smartphone. And with second, third, even fourth, fifth screening becoming the norm, social media is just becoming a natural part of the ecosystem of entertainment. Someone who knows all about this is James Moostapik. Until recently, James produced the weekly videos of Shorty Street Scandal. For those who haven't seen them, and I recommend you do, they were a humorous review on the week worth of Shorty. Since then, he recently released Hold Your Hand in Mine, Harry Warner, as a full-length single on iTunes. And he also had a spin-off of Shorty Street Scandal live at the Basement Theatre with the spin-off. Unfortunately, James couldn't be with us here tonight, but he kindly agreed to answer a few questions for us via a video.
I think for the most part, social media can be really good for TV shows, promoting them, and I guess sort of like bringing together fans, and also making fans feel like they're part of the show. Like with X Factor, you vote online, and then you sort of feel like you're part of the show. Also, TV show Facebook pages love making memes, so it's great. But no, I do think like sometimes social media some people on there who leave comments are just terrible and racist. It can sort of have a negative impact when, you know, like people are making personal attacks to actors and things, but for the most part I do think social media can be really helpful promoting TV shows and sort of bringing people together. I started making Shorty Street Scandal in 2014 because I really enjoyed watching the show, and I also had like pretty boring life underneath it. So I would like seriously, like sometimes I'd have a really bad day and I would like genuinely come home and I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to see my friends Chris Warner and Harry. No, I really enjoyed laughing at it. My mum and I would watch it together and laugh at it. There was one storyline that made me laugh so much. It was when a character, old lady character called Leanne, smacked Sarah and TK's baby Tilly, like just smacking someone else's child, and Sarah tried to take her to court. It was real funny. And I've made YouTube videos in the past before, so I really like this idea of talking about Short and Street, because also all I had to do was watch it and then make fun of it. Like I didn't have to like come up with my own things to talk about. It was just, that was, you know, all I had to do. I think TVNZ responded really well to Shorty Street Scandal. It was really nice actually. Like I kind of assumed that maybe they would like be mad about it or something, because like I was sort of making fun of the show, but I think they realised that it was like a good balance between making fun of the show and also appreciating it, and like they still knew that I actually loved watching the show. I watched it like twice, every episode twice at least every week. So yeah, I think they sort of saw it as like a light-hearted way of bringing fans, like different types of fans, to the show who sort of like, you know, could see the humour in it as well as enjoying the storylines like I did. So when TVNZ got in contact with me, they were a little clear, like we don't want you to change it in any way, which was really nice. I think like just naturally I did sort of be a bit nicer to the show, because I was like, do I want them to hate me? But no, they were really nice about it and stuff, and like I did make fun of it quite a lot. I think Shorty Street Scandal did encourage at least some people to watch the show. I don't know, probably not many, but a few, like at least my friends would say to me like, oh, like now I really enjoy watching it, because like they would sort of like watch it and in the same way, like with the same perspective that I had with the show after watching my videos. So yeah, they sort of like got into it, looking out for all the funny moments and stuff. Then again, also people did leave me comments that were like, haha, this is great, I never have to watch the show anymore. So bit of a, I don't know, maybe I made it worse, I don't know. I stopped making Shorty Street Scandal because I had done it for about a year and a half, and like it was getting really tiring, and I sort of did find like every week I would watch the same episode twice, like so that's like 10 times all of the episodes. Then like I would sit down at the end of the week with all the footage and I would just be like, another Bella being stupid moment, and oh, Chris is going on another diet this week, or like something like that. So I sort of like, I did kind of get sick of it. It was starting to get quite repetitive. Like I just sort of felt like the same things were happening every week. Yeah, I sort of thought like, okay, time to do something else, work on something else. Because like if you see the same person every day of your life, you're like, alright Chris, stay away from me please, I need a break. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, but yeah, I thought it would be nice to sort of have a change and not have to watch the show every night and catch up on it even if I missed it.
Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our outstanding panel tonight. Do you want to come forward, everybody? Cool. So you want to take a seat? Yep, perfect. Tonight we have Kim Niblock, CEO of Lightbox. She is a seasoned and innovative leader with 35 years experience across Australia, the US and the UK. We have Kathy Wright, the Head of Curation for Neon and emerging platforms for Sky TV. Kathy is responsible for what we watch on Neon, so be nice to her. Kathy has worked in the industry for many years and spent time at TVNZ and Vodafone. And finally, Crystal Chenery. You'll remember Crystal from the first season of The Bachelor and last year's Dancing with the Stars. She now has 28,000 Instagram followers and is a personality in her own right. Let's give them a round of applause for being here tonight. Now let's kick into the questions. I'm going to start with Kim and Kathy. Do you want to chat me through how your company is using social media and what kind of results you're finding from it?
Sure. So social media is really important for us at Lightbox. We have a huge relationship with customers around particular shows that they're obsessive about. I've been watching The Wall, and there's a couple of, just a few Suits fans in the room, I can tell from what's going on. I did see somebody talk about dance mums as their dirty little secret. Put your hand up if you're the dance mums person. But lots and lots of stuff going through, and what we find is that people want to talk. People always want to talk about what they're watching. They can't help themselves. They want to tell you what they're watching, what they thought about. When I get in the lift at Spark, every time I get in the lift, we have lanyards that sort of detail where we work, and I get in the lift and I've got a Lightbox lanyard on, and everybody in the lift tells me what they're watching on television, regardless of whether it's on Lightbox or not. And a couple of times I go, hang on a minute, it's not on mine.
That's brilliant, brilliant. Kim?
Kathy.
Sorry, Kathy. Sorry.
I think, so at Sky, obviously I'm on Sky, across all the Sky platforms as well as just our SVOD service. And so we are in constant dialogue with viewers of all of the channels on Sky and on Neon. And they, I mean, as the guy whose name I've forgotten before, he was just playing the video of, was
James.
saying, it's a great as a recommendation, and the people in the Vox Pops earlier, that social media is great as a recommendation engine, essentially, for people. And it's also an amazing way for us to get feedback from customers to say, hey, this is actually what I really want you to buy this. We want to watch this. We want you to buy more of this, and we want you to play it more often.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing feedback device for us. But it also enables us to really get the message out about what we've got coming up. And we're also trying to get into creating original content for social, because promos and everything are great, but people want to see something different on there. They want to see something that they've made themselves, and is new.
Great. And Crystal, since appearing on The Bachelor, how has your use of social media changed, and how much of that was actually contractual through your obligations through The Bachelor and Dancing with the Stars?
Well, I don't really ever read contracts, and I don't ask for permission, I just ask for forgiveness. I've had a few phone calls to take a few things down, sometimes. I think that we didn't have anything contractually through The Bachelor. It was fun to do that off your own back, because I do feel that social media does let you have some freedom. You don't have to rely on traditional forms of media to get your point across, or your passion, or your view, or so more so now I can use it for my opinions and to share things that I really care about. And so the social media, obviously that got me my following, which I didn't really realise when I was going on to the show. I was just shopping for a husband, and then ended up on a dancing show, and still don't have a husband. And my outfits were amazing, by the way.
Look at those boots, they're stunning.
Thanks. So did I answer all your questions? I can't remember.
You did.
Yeah.
So a question that I'm going to ask all of you next is, how do you think social media is just changing the industry?
Oh, it's definitely around recommendation. With us, we have people that come to the service, and they haven't seen a show like Suits, but they've heard of it. And within 2 episodes, they're absolutely hooked, telling everybody about it, want people to know.
Nice.
And I think, to Kathy's point, it's about people sharing the experience. It's about people wanting other people to know what they're going through. We have a show called Outlander, and we've discovered that there's a heartland of New Zealand ladies, sort of 50 plus, who are very, very, very vocal about the Outlander and which bits specifically they like of the Outlander, and they discuss it in great detail.
Wow, Okay.
But it's just one of those things that people want to talk about what they're doing. They want other people to enjoy it, and they want to share how they got there.
Yeah. Is it a good thing? Is social media, is entertainment now more social? Are we back to the days of when we used to, I say we, but we used to go to the cinema and
I think it's exactly as social as it always was. It's just more immediate. So in the past, entertainment was always social. We were always talking to our friends about what we were going to watch. It's just that the circle of influence, I guess, or the people who we were talking to about it has become bigger. So when we were first talking, we were just, before social media, we were talking to our friends, and then we were talking to our work colleagues, and maybe with email and blogs and stuff, it got a little bit wider. But with Facebook and Twitter and everything, it's now become this global conversation. So I think that's the big difference, and the immediacy. We used to have to wait until we saw somebody the next day, physically. Hi, I really want to tell you about the show that I watched last night. Now we can tell them straight away while we're watching it.
of course. Nice.
And I think that it's still like traditional TV, and having the shows and having them on at the same time promotes community. So what everyone's watching at the same time, because if you don't, you're going to go on social media and see whoever got booted off a show or a result. So, discussing at work around the water cooler what happened is that still sense of community. But when we had the social interaction with The Bachelor last year, The Bachelor was the most downloaded show in the history of all of TV3 and had amazing ratings because of that, the extra boost on social media, which just basically got people to talk about what they liked, or in my case, what they didn't like on the show, and getting their point across. So it obviously gives trolls the time to do their thing, but I think when the social media is teamed up with a TV show, or when it's crossed over with that, that's when when it's more...
Yeah, I mean,
more potent.
I would agree absolutely that social media teamed with a scheduled TV show so that everybody is actually watching it at the same time. So it's the reality shows like Crystal's been involved with, and live things like sport and news, and really zeitgeisty, we have to watch it now, simulcast all around the world shows like Game of Thrones, that you get those conversations happening straight away, and that's where social media is amazing. And binge viewing, it's a little bit harder. We're not quite there yet, because we're all out of sync with each other in terms of our viewing of stuff.
I think to Kathy's point, it's about the global conversation. It's not the village, it's not New Zealand, it's not anything like that. It's the global conversation, being able to talk with your friends in the US or in the UK who watched Game of Thrones last night, and be able to have the same conversation today that, maybe only a couple of years ago you wouldn't have been able to have that conversation. You would have been waiting for whenever it was available. And I think that's what brings it smack up to date.
And trying to block your ears.
Spoiler.
So is traditional TV is not dead, or is it?
No, not dead.
TV's got a long way to come. At the end of the day, as much as we talk about SVOD and binge viewing, people use both. They're going to use both. The kinds of shows that Crystal's talking about, the reality shows, the sports shows, have got a place in everybody's heart. They've got a place to play in the family. SVOD's more about me time. It's about, what do I want to watch? What do I want to do? Take my little device away in the corner and watch what I want to do. TV's here for a long time. It's to stay.
Yeah, and SVOD and PVRs, My Sky and Sky On Demand, and all of the different options that are available to people, they're about giving viewers options. They're about the fact that our lifestyles have changed, and that not everybody comes home from work at 5 o'clock and sits down and turns on the TV. Still, most people do that now. I know that probably that's not the case in this room, but across New Zealand and across the world, actually, live TV viewing is still like in the 80-90% range. And that's live, that's not playback, which is horrifying. I know everybody's always surprised by that stat. But all of these other ways to watch are about giving people options and saying, well, okay, if you work at night, or you just don't feel like watching TV at night, but you feel like watching it at 10 o'clock in the morning, you can do that now. You can play back stuff off your PVR, you can watch it on demand, you can use an SVOD service.
Great.
But there's something still really nice about just like vegging out and being dished up, something that you don't have to think about. And then, so that's still quite huge, because I know that at the end of the day, when you've had your decision-making quota and you can't even, I'm so indecisive and I end up watching all the trailers and I don't watch anything and then I'm going to bed. But there is still something about being dished up whatever is on the box. But the new generation is not as loyal as, like, say, my father, who will watch the Channel 1 news at 6 o'clock and has done for my whole life and still will do for the rest of his life. So there's not that I need to be there and watch that and that sort of loyalty to a channel or a show anymore.
You're right. I mean, and we do know that there are viewers like you who just come home or when they get to their TV viewing time, they don't necessarily want to make a decision. They want to watch the best option, the thing they like the most that's there at the time that's been scheduled for them. And some people are really active and want to search around and find the exact thing they want to watch. And that changes with the same person in different moods, even.
Now, with social media, how do you find that your social media numbers compare with your viewership stats? And
no correlation.
Pardon?
No correlation. Very, very little correlation. You get things around, you get spikes around shows. So, you know, with Gabrielle Mack just being here in town and doing promotion with Lightbox, a lot of people talking about Suits, you see a spike there, but that doesn't necessarily correlate to Suits being on air. Again, Outlander, lots of excitement around the start of the show and throughout the series, and then specific events in the show. But then you'll get people sort of appear out of nowhere who are watching the show out of sync with everyone else, and they'll start talking about it.
Do those peaks and troughs that you find, do they correlate to, subscriber numbers per se, or reflect the business?
No, content always drives subscribers, and I'm sure Kathy will agree. It's all about content. You know, at the end of the day, that's what subscribers want.
Yep.
And, you put a great show on, you get subscribers. That's the end of the discussion.
And social followers and social activity tells us that people want to talk about the show. It doesn't tell us that they're actually going to watch it. And it's never really correlated. So even before social and there was talkability of a show in magazines or newspapers or something, and people thought that this show must be massive and must be really highly viewed, not always the case. You know, so they've always been a little bit out of sync in terms of the conversation versus the actual viewing.
And they talk a lot about wanting to watch it. Yeah. They talk a lot about, I can't wait to the next series, I can't wait to see what happens, I don't know, the cliffhanger of whatever happened. But that's often way in advance of the next show.
Yeah, of course. Hey, Crystal, obviously you were on a couple of TV shows that were very based on the results and...
Sorry, I just saw there's a tweet from my husband saying the family's watching you from home live.
Loyalty.
There's always something that comes up on the screen. Someone always posts the cat.
Thanks, Rachel Anatomy, for agreeing with me. Anthony Anatomy.
Nice. How do you manage the spoilers on your end and keep those tight, I guess?
It's a really, really interesting question. I worked on an app.
Is your name Crystal? No. I'm only joking.
I'm sorry, was the question Crystal?
No. You're fine. You carry on, Kim.
No, we've actually looked at this a lot because we don't want people to spoil shows for other people.
Yeah.
And, the whole purpose of SPOT is to have this available at any given point in time. Generally, people play by the rules and they'll tell you, spoiler alert, don't watch. You've always got that friend who kind of throws it in there and you're like, didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But generally we find people play by the rules, and generally you're a bit of a social outcast if you don't play by the rules.
Yeah, and we would certainly do the same. And if there are people who kind of break that, then you can pull them out. But otherwise,
we call them out on social all the time.
And other people, and all of the followers call them out as well. They're always like, stop that, and pile on top of them.
Yeah, it is really hard. I think that I was a spoiler myself because obviously I'm an open book and just sort of don't really think that much when I'm posting because I was new to all of that. So when obviously being a reality TV show, you don't quite know what you're getting yourself in for. Signing over your image to be used as they please. And I think I actually got more into trouble on Dancing with the Stars because we filmed the results show on the same night. And then on the Monday night, I was so tired one day. And then I did a bit of a post saying, I'm going to miss you guys, whoever went home, but forgot that it was aired because I was just so tired. And I was just like, I better do something on social because they wanted us to. And then I got in trouble for that. But the Herald already got hold of it. And then But then I just pulled it down. I was like, pretended it never happened, hoping the producers didn't notice. But that was a complete mistake. That wasn't trying to ruin anything. But I suppose off The Bachelor, I'm not too sure if it's to do with budget or time, just with the girls that were getting voted off, they would feel a little bit unloved or didn't really know what happened or weren't really looked after, I suppose, when they got kicked off. And then, like in America, they take the rest of the girls around with them to stop the spoilers. Like, they don't actually get sent home.
Yeah.
They're stuck in a hotel room somewhere, not allowed to get let out. So yeah, so spoilers are horrible, and you don't want to spoil anything. You want to increase people's curiosity, if anything.
Yeah. I think there's a real, sort of almost Lord of the Flies mentality when, the community will toss people out, don't do that in our place.
100%. Yeah, nice. So is it easier to attract an engaged audience? Is it easier than it was now that you've got so many little pockets to feed into or conversations that you can...
Oh, never easy, never easy.
Well, yeah.
I think having multiple channels to attract people, including social media, gives you so much more of a voice and a relationship with your customer. I think at the end of the day, it's always going to be about content.
Yeah.
You can't convince somebody to watch something they don't want to see, but you can convince somebody to have a look if they're just a little bit interested. And I think that's where social comes really into its own.
And with your platforms as well, I'm just going to add to this whole question. With your platforms, is it easier when you're tracking what people are watching and what they like to view and what their tendencies are, does that make it easier to hook them in, I guess, so to speak?
Oh, it definitely makes it easier to see what's capturing people's imagination.
Yep.
And again, Gabrielle Mack being in town, we honestly didn't expect that to be as big as it was. We knew we had a big Suits fan base, but did we expect people, pressing their noses up against the wall of...
That was outstanding.
Suits
amazing.
We didn't really expect that. I think where it leads you to...
I just heard someone in the audience say, "Oh, he's so hot." So that'll be why.
How many people here think Gabriel's hot? Yeah.
You can't not.
Kind of thought that might happen. Having that level of engagement with fans and being able to bring them almost into the tent a little bit, and it's not just about here's the show, there you go, watch it and go home. It's about giving them a little bit more. I think social allows you to open up and have a deeper and richer experience around here's some behind the scenes peeks at things that you might not have seen.
Nice.
We do a lot, to Kathy's point around original content, we do a lot around here's the backstage pass, here's the things that you haven't seen, here's the Outlander talking about what's under his kilt, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, nice.
And it brings people in, it generates greater engagement.
Great. Kathy?
Look, I think it's easier to engage with people. It's not necessarily easier to get an engaged audience, but we're using social media, but it's easier to engage with them once you have them. And we can promote using social media to get that audience to begin with, but once they've seen the show, they're more likely to engage through social. In my experience, it's definitely that the programming content, be it YouTube content, be it whatever it is, it drives the social engagement rather than the other way around. The show can exist without social, social can't exist without the show. And so it's always going to be driving back to that video experience.
Yeah.
And if you have valuable content for your followers as well, so knowing their demographic and knowing what they need and not what they need, but just sticking with brand and knowing what you're about. So obviously I'm not a TV show, I'm just the brand's myself. I stick up for women, health, I love yoga, and I have these issues, anything that I'm passionate about and want to get that out and hoping that it will add value for them. And with knowing and doing all the data science of who's following you and knowing exactly what they're like that thing that happened in the States with Target, when Target sent maternity vouchers to a 15-year-old girl and the father rocked into Target going, "Why are you sending her vouchers? Are you promoting her getting pregnant? She's 15. And just because of her online behaviour, they knew that she was pregnant and before her family did. And that's sort of just like a researching and knowing your audience, and then even though it's quite intrusive and weird, but yeah.
So much out there.
Yeah.
On that, how do you find the time to fit all of this sort of social engagement that you need to do and as part of your life?
It's so time consuming. I tried to do a YouTube channel and then I just got bored with that and like editing and like doing all that. It's so hard. Like everyone that does all that kind of stuff with the computers and then like with just your little editing and everything, and then it gets deleted and then like cropping and listening to all the sound. Yeah, so hard.
Yeah, totally.
Very time consuming.
Nice. And obviously with Gabrielle here recently, do you kind of have anything more to add to that question around how he kind of fits us all in? I guess press tours and this publicity has always been part of an actor's life, but is it more now?
Look, I think it's clear that some people enjoy it more than others. We were really lucky that Gabriel clearly enjoyed what he was doing, had a great time being down here, thoroughly enjoyed New Zealand, wants to come back, can't wait, that sort of thing. I think, equally the feedback that he gets is important. I can't remember who it was, I'm sure Matt will remind me, but there was a couple of people that said to him, I went to law school because of you. Cat of thrown.
Nice. Monday people, Monday.
When you're an actor playing a part and somebody tells you that they actually went to law school because of your character, that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
So I think that just the engagement drives enough for people to feel like they're part of a bigger conversation than, the show's big enough in itself, but outside of that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, we recently had Alfie Allen down here from Game of Thrones, and he was super active as well. I think that it's just it becomes part of what they do, especially when they're in a hiatus of shooting. So when they're away on a promo tour or something, then it becomes something that they get really involved in, and they do like that banter back and forth with the fans on social.
Yeah, of course. Is it getting harder to make money in the television industry? Or is it easier because there's more platforms? It's probably not quite so black and white as that, but...
Yeah, it's not that black and white. I think it's what's becoming more obvious is that people want control over what they do, and that they're going to think about how they spend their money.
Yeah.
And that with the plethora of choice comes the ability to make decisions that are very clear about what you do and don't want to consume. Some of the traditional models have maybe coerced you into areas that you don't want to go or forking out money that you don't want to pay. I think that some of the models that are coming through now are allowing people to pick and choose at a far greater rate than they have previously. And that's good. That's good for the business. I think it's just spreading the revenue models around differently. Content costs a lot of money. It's always going to cost a lot of money. And at the end of the day, part of our job is to figure out how to monetize that and allow customers to see what they want to see and when they want to see it.
Great.
Yeah, and I would agree with that absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's getting harder, but I don't think it's ever been easy. And certainly on the Sky side, we're kind of recognising that people want to do different things and want to have different options. So there are a whole lot of different ways that you can decide how to watch TV.
Yeah.
You can have full Sky, you can have premium channels, you can have Neon or Fan Pass or daily passes or whatever you like, and there are all of these different ways that you can do that. And so it's finding the business models that fit all of that.
Yep.
I think the important thing on that too is they're not exclusive.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Not at all.
And that's increasingly what we see. I think, maybe 3 or 5 years ago we all envisaged this perfect utopia where, in my world people would abandon Sky and come and buy Lightbox and that would be it. But what we know is that people do both.
Yeah, there's a lot of as well as, not instead of.
Yep.
And increasingly what we see is that people are augmenting their viewing, or they're choosing how they want to view. So they might want to watch their reality shows, their news and their sport on free to air or on Sky, and then they choose that me time for what they actually want to grab a hold of and binge watch or whatever.
Of course. Hey, Crystal, now on this, so now you have a whole lot of really exciting kind of enterprises and things going on. So you've got the launch of your boots coming up, and you have a huge social media following. Is that something that you think has happened because of your TV presence and, that's kind of built in, you'll be able to extend that across social media? Or do you think you would have kind of headed in that direction either way?
Oh no, 100% from obviously being on The Bachelor and Dancing with the Stars. The Bachelor had a longer shelf life and more followers, and it was mostly The Bachelor that I'm still painfully remembered for. But no, hopefully it's nice to experiment. Like, it's just a massive experiment. What you think someone will like or what's going to create more followers, no one likes, and then what you think's crap will just pop up, and then it's like spread like wildfire, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I think there's no rhyme or reason, but it's just another medium. Like, I think it is just another channel, social media, as well as a TV channel. Like, it is the same as traditional media.
Absolutely. I've just got a couple more questions before I'm going to hand this over to the audience, so get your questions ready, everybody. Do you think we're at risk of local content declining with this kind of influx of international content that we're constantly getting? I mean, I know it sounds like there's, as you say, it's a little bit of and this and that adding on, but I guess we've only got 24 hours in a day, so...
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, you know, we see a lot of great content pitched at us at Lightbox, and I think that people always want to see content that resonates with where they are from and where they live. I think in the future what we will see is perhaps those things being more defined. So you may have an environment where you're getting your big UK or US show releases, and then separately you're looking at what's going on in the New Zealand market. Yeah. But you know, it's clear to me that those things are going to continue for some time, that people want to be involved in whatever the social debate is about The Bachelor or something else that's going on in the region at that time. Local content's not going anywhere.
No, I completely agree. I mean, local is so important to TV in every country. Like, it always, across the board, rates better than the equivalent foreign. I mean, you always get foreign shows that rate better than some local shows, but local shows are always in your kind of top 10s and top 20s of the things that people want to watch. Yeah, exactly. And so, no, I don't think it's going anywhere.
I hope not. I hope that local content stays around, but I think that the social and the TV, it's just going to push local content or raise the bar a little bit more, and hopefully it's more quality that's on.
Nice. Now, one final question before we hand this to the audience. What is the most innovative or amazing use of social media connected to entertainment that you guys have seen within the industry?
Probably a few years old now, but definitely when, how far is Obama into his presidency? That when Obama was inaugurated and Facebook set up the streaming program with CNN so that you could be in the room with your friends and you could watch the inauguration. And you know, I was talking to Crystal about this earlier on, to Angela about this earlier on, and you know, for me, it was one of those things, you sort of heard about it and it was like, I'm not really sure how that works. And we had it set up in the office, and then it goes through and it starts running. And all of a sudden, you know, I'm in a room with my friends from all over the world. You know, clearly I'm an Aussie, I'm in London, but I've got friends all over the world, and I'm watching this very historic moment go on, and I'm watching it, and I'm looking at all of the narrative from my friends, and we're all talking, and it's going backwards and forwards. Oh my God, what tie is he wearing? And all this kind of thing. Nice. And you know, it was one of those moments when you just go, oh my God, this is the future. This is how it's going to work.
Nice.
I have a couple of examples which are very different to that one, actually. But they're so Veronica Mars was a series that ran for quite a few seasons, and it ended, and it had this real strong fan base. And through crowdfunding, several years after the last season, they managed to get a movie up and running just through social crowdfunding, and managed to raise that cash. Okay. And there's another series that some of you might watch called Supernatural. It was around season 4, season 5. It was always a little bit on the bubble. It was always really unsure whether it was going to have another season or whether they were just going to ditch it. And through the fact that they managed to get it onto an SVOD service, and they managed, and that the stars started tweeting all of the time, they would live tweet the show. And so through all of that, they've managed to get it for another 5 whole seasons. It's now up to season 10, still running, because of that.
Nice. Crystal? Me?
No, I got
Dad?
nothing.
No, totally fine. Hey, look, we're going to hand this over to the audience now, so I'm just going to get you guys to share a mic, so I'll grab one if that's okay. Who's got a question to ask our fantastic panel? Over here. Thanks, Dylan.
Okay.
Hi. Hello. Sorry, it might be a statement rather than a question, but the thing that I have, and most viewers that have this, like the entertainment market's being commoditised, plenty of choice, and it's relatively cheap. The issue is now we're paying, even if you subscribe to every service per month for music and movies, it'll cost you $100 a month. I'm paying that for Sky to watch 2 sports services. When's sport going to be commoditised like the entertainment services that
Get
are
fan
commoditised?
pass.
I can't for Formula One or V8 supercars. It's on pop-up.
So I think that's a question for the sports codes. Look, I think there's a big moment coming in sport where, end of the day, sport is really expensive. The sports codes are extraordinary at extracting money for rights. You know, we at Lightbox, we have the English Premier League at the moment, and that rights cycle runs on a 3-year basis. Just about the time it's going to make some money is the time where it gets whipped away from you and it goes somewhere else. So I think until you can be in an environment where those things can make money on a standalone basis, then what's going to happen is you're going to have to live with services like FanPass, which I think is a terrific service, and with the channels, because actually it's about what we're willing to pay and what we can commercialise back into the market, what customers are willing to pay. At the end of the day, if customers won't pay for it, it's not worth us buying the rights and putting it back out for people. And I take your point that it gets super expensive to do everything, and I do think that going forward that we'll see the rise of aggregation to make sure that people can find what they want, because at the end of the day, we don't know where it is.
Was.
Hey?
Which ironically is what there already is with the sports channels.
Yeah, but you know, as we pull things apart, there's got to be a way to find stuff and come back together to look for what you're looking for. You're looking for, was it Formula One you said?
And V8 supercars.
Yeah, so both of those codes eminently available, want a hell of a lot of money to come into New Zealand, and we'd need to work out how to commercialise those to be able to deliver those to customers. Sometimes, you know, given some of the stuff that's going on across the globe at the moment, people are a little bit full of how much they think those things should be worth.
Right, do we have another question?
Before I say a question, first up, Smackle's bigger than Bachelor New Zealand. So that's cool. Yeah, keeping on the sports theme, Periscope have just announced that they're going to pal up with NFL. There's been lots of talk of YouTube going into the English Premier League. Can we see sports going into the sort of social networks and off the TV?
Absolutely. I think it's coming. I think you'll see, you know, particularly with some of the NFL deals, you'll see a lot of that coming through. Again, it depends on how you commercialise it. At the end of the day, they're not doing it for love.
Yeah, they're only going to change where they will sell to whomever they can get the most money from in the end, and whichever business can make that model work for them the best.
Next question.
Hi. Hello. As we're all probably aware, the New Zealand platforms are all sometimes still behind on content as opposed to what the New Zealand American platforms have. And there are some shows like Gilmore Girls who have been on previously that have a massive social media following, and then there are new shows which aren't on the New Zealand platform yet. So my question is, how much does social media play into your decision on what content to put on your platform?
Hugely. Yeah, so like if something's got a massive fan base and we can get it to you quicker, we'll do that. Always.
Down the back. Feedback.
What strategies are you employing as local platforms to guard against, maybe we had a few questions around sports. We see with the American sports, a lot of them just going direct, NBA Pass, NFL and so on. The biggest growth sport at the moment, if you call it a sport, is the world of gaming. Gaming looks to be just sort of completely bypassing platforms, platforms such as Twitch. You've got the sort of YouTube gaming coming online. What strategies are you employing to sort of guard against guard against that? You spoke about sort of local content. What else are you, I mean, you must be sitting there going, what's this mean for us?
I don't think we need to guard against it. I think we need to embrace it. You know, I think having other brands that want to work alongside you and work directly to customer is a good thing. I come back to that aggregation point. In the future, I think that you'll see multiple ways for people to find content and multiple platforms for that to be delivered across. And I think that as we go forward, you know, the introduction of those relationships that not legitimise them, but make them more available within this environment is only a good thing.
Next question.
Hi. There's been I tweeted a question about local content, and since more traditional news media organisations are leaping into making local content like NZME and TVNZ have done that too. Sorry to turn it into a bit of a press conference, but do you guys have plans to commission original Kiwi content? Because I'm sure there's a desire to see that.
We do commission original Kiwi content.
Sorry, I don't use the services, so I didn't know. But if you could expand on that would be great.
So, I mean, I'm here for Sky. I represent all of the Sky non-linear platforms, and so we have a lot of local content that we have access to, and through the other channels at Sky, and also looking into things that we can do for exclusively for some of our platforms that aren't channels. But yeah, it's case by case. It's finding the right show for the right platform at the right time.
So I think that our definition of content is changing. You know, some of the organisations you work for are producing marvellous content. And I think that, again, as we come towards a future where those materials are made much more widely available, I'm not sure that we'll continue to have television brands and other. I think everything will come into one place. You know, the gentleman down here was talking about gaming and brands like Twitch, which don't have that much television coverage right now. I think you'll all find them in one place, because at the end of the day, customers want to see what they want to see, and it's not about a big studio network coming out of the US. It's about what you want to see.
I think we've got time for one more question tonight. Yeah, down here.
Thanks. So the topic was binge watching, and I have a friend who binge watches, and what I want to know from you, Kim, is what is the most binge watched show on Lightbox, and what's normal for binge watching?
Oh, wow. So the most binge-watched show on Lightbox would definitely be Suits, followed probably by Outlander, and then probably a bit of Vikings. I saw there was a lot of Vikings tweets originally when we came in. Behaviour, so the definition that you were referring to earlier, Angela, refers to binge-watching as 3 shows in a row. You know, they could be a 10-minute show, they could be a half-hour show, they could be an hour show, they could be movies.
So it could be nothing. You could spend an hour watching TV.
You know, it depends on what you think is nothing. I mean, I've got 2 sort of preteen kids. For me, be able to sit down and watch 2 shows in a row without being interrupted, I would consider that a bit of a binge at the moment.
Nice.
For everybody else, you know, should you be sitting down? We were talking earlier on about the guy that did the 92 hours of whatever it was.
Insane.
Not sure that's really good for your health.
They had a doctor there actually, like
everything
looking at
in moderation.
Everything that it.
You know, binge watching is a phenomenon at the moment in terms of what does it mean to you. You know, if binge watching means spending an entire Saturday on the couch watching something, then good for you. I'm all for it. If it means getting, you know, 2 10-minute fixes in off of your NZME channel, that's fine too.
Nice.
Yeah, and we see lots and lots of binge viewing, particularly around some of the fast track content that we have. So as soon as one episode's dropped, or it's about to drop, people suddenly watch the previous 4 or whatever. So a lot around Game of Thrones particularly, and also Rain. Rain is really huge for us in binge.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Bad weather. We love bad weather in Westwood.
Rain. Sorry, Rain the show, not Rain the weather.
Bad weather. We like bad weather. When it rains, our numbers go through the roof.
I bet they do.
All TV numbers
New
do.
Year's Day this year. Everyone remember the weather on New Year's Day this year here in Auckland?
New Year's Day was huge.
Off the scale.
Yep. Put your hand up if you're someone who you might just really feel like a day of just sitting on the couch and it's sunny and you are just torn because all you want to do is just sit on the couch, but it's sunny, so you should probably go outside.
Just give in and sit on the couch.
Yeah, good. Hey, look.
I just have 2 tweets that I want to mention. Christy Towers, thanks, babe. That was so nice. And who do I think's going to win The Bachelor New Zealand this year? I hope my bitchy sister Naz does. But I do know that bitches never win. On there, like they can't choose them, like literally.
I love it. I love it. Well, as I said at the start of the event, we have some pretty fantastic prizes here to give away this evening. But before we do that, I want to say a huge thank you to our fantastic panel for all of your insights tonight. I know that we're all going to go away heads a little bit more full of knowledge, knowing a little bit more about the whole industry and how social media interacts with it. So thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause.
And now that I do know that you support local content, I do totes have ideas for shows. Time for a coffee week this week, ladies.
You guys can grab a slice of pizza afterwards. Now, we have a winner to announce for the tickets to the New Zealand Social Media Forum in June, thanks to Conference. And this goes to the best tweet of the night. Drum roll, please. The best tweet goes to Simone McCallum for your photo with Harvey Bozzy Boots. And we also have another one to give away for the best question. And I think we'll go with the girl in the striped top who asked a question about how social media following is dictated by what, sorry. How what is on your platforms is dictated by what comes up on social media. I think you're just in here. Congratulations. Looking good, Crystal. Now our next prize for the winner of Crystal's amazing bossy boots, and they look amazing, is Steph Field for your Puss in Boots gift. Congratulations.
What did you say? What was it for?
I don't know, we've got it, but we'll find that soon. And we have some Lightbox subscriptions to give away. So I'm going to announce the ones that we handed that were given away across Twitter first. We've got 2 winners for Twitter, Vicky Holder and Melissa Ching, if you want to come and see me afterwards. And across Facebook, Callum Sweeney and Matthew Donaldson. Now, I don't know about you, but if I wasn't called out then to win a Lightbox subscription, I'd be a little bit disappointed. But have no fear, there are more. So everyone just wants to take a wee look under their seat right now. Oprah style, we have a few tucked in under there, if you're in a lucky seat. Did you win? There should be 6 under the seat.
Stand up and show it.
One over here, stand up if you get one. One here.
Oh, this lady here.
One over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be 2 more. 2 more. I feel like there's some towards the back of here somewhere. We might be missing one. And if while you're down there having a wee look, if you can't find your Lightbox subscription, if there's any rubbish, if you could just pick that on up, that would be great.
I didn't win a prize.
As I said at the start, it's a completely volunteer-run event, and otherwise I'll be running around picking it up. So, you know, help us all out. No, we only got 4 people that have found their subscriptions.
How many are there?
There's 6. There's 6 out in the audience, and I've only seen 4 people. All right, we might have to have a wee hunt for those a little bit later. Well, that brings our evening to a close tonight. Thank you so much for turning up here and joining us for this fantastic social evening. If you'd like to join us afterwards, feel free to pop over the road where we'll all be at the Sofitel for a drink. But in the meantime, I'm hoping there's some pizza left because I'm quite hungry, and there may even be a few drinks left as well. So grab that last sneaky slice of pizza, grab another drink, and yeah, thank you all for coming.